Hi, and welcome to episode 3 of No Opinion. My name is Ollie, and today I'm going to be talking to you about child sexual exploitation and boys and young men specifically. Now, this is a sticky subject, and there's a lot to it which I won't be able to cover in this short video. So what I'm first of all going to do is bounce off an episode of the Channel 4 programme Educating Manchester, specifically episode 3. Now, episode 3 included a young boy who goes by the name of Mitchell. And if you'd seen this episode, Mitchell is, was at the time of filming in year 11. He's a slightly overweight chap. He was wearing makeup as a response to having quite bad psoriasis, but eventually his gender expression just sort of steadily became more and more feminine, and he was just known for the boy who wore lots of makeup in school. And fair play to him, that's his decision on his expression, all very well and good. Now, at the beginning of this episode, one of the first issues that was raised with him by the school was the fact that he had a profile on the dating app called Tinder. For those of you who don't know what Tinder is it's a geolocating app that you can put on your phone, which essentially tells you where the nearest people are. It's for people of any sexuality. But yeah, it's a dating profile app, which requires you to be over 18 to be on it. And once found out that he was on this app, essentially, it was made an issue of by the school, quite rightly, and he was asked to hand his phone in. Later on in the episode, he started to exhibit not particularly good behaviour in the classroom. He would talk back, he would not participate, he generally started to shut down and become quite difficult to teach. Now, immediately as I was watching this episode, I thought, what would this program be like right now if he was a girl? Okay. Now, the child sexual exploitation, for those of you who don't know exactly what that is, it's when an adult in a position of power uses their power to sexually exploit a child. Now, the process of this can happen over a number of days, months, even years. It's often preceded by a process known as grooming, where the adult will make contact with the young person, or vice versa. And they don't have to be a total stranger. They can be a friend of the family, or they can be someone that they met online. So online grooming is a very typical way for it to begin. And relationships are formed. The young person often thinks that they're in some kind of meaningful relationship. And over a certain period of time, that young person is groomed, and eventually, most likely, some kind of sexual relationship will occur, which would be illegal because it would be sex with a minor. Now, a huge amount of cases of sexual exploitation are picked up around girls and young women, and quite rightly, because it's a really, really rife situation amongst that demographic. And there was that really great programme, I think it was the BBC, who did a programme called Three Girls. It was a three-parter based on the Rotherham CSE scandal. And that was a really, really top piece of television, and picked up what kind of holes can appear in the system that mean that these cases don't get picked up as quickly as they should do. Now, with boys and young men, the warning signs for child sexual exploitation, which are normally things around, the core symptom that can be the beginning of being sexually exploited is low self-esteem. So commonalities might be the young person is from a broken home, parents aren't together, the young person doesn't feel like they're perhaps getting the love and attention they need from home, and so they seek it somewhere else. And the symptoms of this can then be displayed in staying out really late, maybe getting random gifts that they don't know where you've got those gifts from, or turning up late to school, not turning up to school at all, generally antagonized behavior or antagonistic behavior. However, even though boys and young men are statistically as likely to get sexually exploited as girls and young women, the amount of cases of these that are picked up by professionals is significantly lower. And the reason that this is that the gender bias, i.e. who we believe girls and boys should or shouldn't be, how we believe girls and boys should or shouldn't act, or men and women, the bias we have towards that person's gender and what we believe a certain person's behavior should be like based on their gender is very different. So to see a young girl acting out in a particular way. So if a young girl had been on Tinder in school and then had started exhibiting the kind of behaviours that Mitchell was exhibiting, the entire tone of the programme would have, I believe, been completely different. And it would have been serious warning signs for a potential suspicion of some kind of exploitation occurring. However, because it was a young man, the entire process, just when I was watching the program, just seemed to be laughed off. It seemed to be quite funny that he was on Tinder. It was quite funny that he was a funny guy. He had a really good energy about him, and so it was quite distinct and apparent when his behaviour switched. But there didn't appear to be any kind of link being made. Now, what I'm really pleased to say is that, from what reports show, and I've been reading online about this young man, is that, he got his GCSEs, went to college, he's in a good space. He wasn't being sexually exploited, as far as I know, and that's great. Okay, but however, these flags weren't raised. The issue kind of was very much a non-issue. Almost as soon as the program started, he's got a profile on Tinder. Oh, isn't that funny? Oh, funny old Mitchell. He wears makeup. Blah blah blah. Carry on. And I couldn't help but wondering if he'd been a young girl, had that been the same. So yeah, what I seek to do here is to challenge what behaviours we see in both boys and girls, and I often in my work as a boys and young men worker ask the question: if I was dealing with a girl right now, how would I be? Would I be dealing with the situation any differently? And if so, am I applying some kind of gender bias unconsciously to the way I'm approaching this work? And these are ideas that I want to strive to push forward as a professional. And as as a human being generally. So yes, that's my idea. What's yours? I'm going to put a link to that episode of Educating Manchester in the box below, so you can click on it and watch it for yourself if you like. Yeah, that's my idea. What's yours? Comment, subscribe, and I'll speak to you soon. Cheers, bye.